Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Andy Grace. This is the actual recap of week 1 of Camp NaNo. I intended to do a singular video for the first week of camp, and then the first day of camp, which was yesterday, I filmed like 20-ish, 30-ish, I don't remember how much it actually was, minutes of footage, which I then trimmed down to 17 minutes. But I figured if I did that every day, it would be like hours long. So I did a day 1, and hopefully the rest of the days are not that big, and I can put them all together. And this is days 2 through 6, I think. Let me look at a calendar. Yeah, see, Saturday's the 4th, Sunday's the 5th. Yeah, 2 through 5. This is day 2 through 5, presumably. So let's get writing. I got a lot done yesterday. But I also wrote for 6 hours in the morning and then 2 hours in the evening, so there was a lot happening. I'm not writing that much today. I might eat an hour in, or more. What time is it? It's 7:33 p.m. So, yeah, less writing today. Which I suppose translates to less filmed footage, so I won't run into that problem again. First things first. Beverage. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. This is my favorite by far. But I think we're gonna go chocolate. It just smells like really yummy chocolate. I finished a whole chapter, which was about 4,000 words. None of that was new scenes. There were some additions that I made to scenes that were already there, but I didn't write any brand new material. I've reached the midpoints of all the story arcs, which I outlined yesterday, and then I did some more re-outlining of the things I'd already outlined with the end of the story, with the bad guys close in beat, and the all is lost. Just because the end of the first draft is kind of all over the place and a mess, and I'm trying to narrow in on the actual story that I'm trying to tell. Because I wrote so much yesterday, this graph makes it look like I did nothing today. But I actually did, you know, the 4,000 words. I did a whole chapter of edits. But I did like 4.5 chapters of edits yesterday, so yes. And like I mentioned in the previous vlog, I can only keep track of words written on here, so I'm counting all the new words in my drafts. I have my original draft over here, and then the new draft where I'm inputting new scenes and also moving scenes over to edit them. And so any new words that come into this draft I count and put it on the site, even though like personally I'm just keeping track of chapters. How many chapters have I gotten through? And today that would be one singular chapter. I look super productive though. I am hoping to get at least another chapter done today. doing the chapter yesterday wasn't too hard, but I'm getting to the point in the story where it's not easy anymore to just transfer a scene over and like edit it and make it look pretty, because I've gotten to the point in the first draft that I'm working with that the story just started to wander all over the place and have a bunch of pointless scenes, and so I have to do a whole lot more work figuring out if the scenes are salvageable or if I just scrap them and write new scenes. And this week I've already re-outlined the second half of the novel with Save the Cat 3 times because I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want from the story, where the story is going, where the character arcs are going to go, because they're not in the first draft. There's not a good story arc in the first draft for any of the stories that I was trying to tell. So I'm having to like sort of start from scratch now that I've reached the second half of the novel, even though I have an entire first draft and an outline that I'm working with. The story just doesn't really match the first draft anymore, and so I'm like redoing the outline again and again and again to make it work. I don't know. Anyway, it's getting more tedious basically. I did finish a chapter, and it was as tedious as I expected it to be because I have to sort of write a new story, but also incorporate the first draft. It's complicated and confusing. But right now I'm taking a break because my family is going to see some fireworks because, you know, tomorrow's the 4th. I have come to the realization that a specific plot point doesn't work. My lost group of people find the other people far too quickly, and it's way too easy. So the way I wrote it in the first draft, and then the way that I sort of updated it yesterday and tried to make it a little more difficult, but it was still really easy, it just doesn't work. And I figured out in the middle of last night when I was awake because there was a spider in my bed and I could not sleep after that incident. Anyway, I sort of had it wasn't really an epiphany or like an aha moment, but it was like a slow stewing. I don't know. Anyway, but it came to my mind what I could do to make it better and more realistic, but still like work the way that I want it to. But if I'm going to do that, I have to rearrange and delete and fix all of the things that I wrote yesterday, which would be really complicated to wade through and figure out in the document. So what I'm going to do is start a third document, and I'm going to move over all the chapters of the second draft prior to the one that I did yesterday, and then I'm going to do my weighting in the document I've been working in and write the way that it's supposed to be in the other one, because I think it'll be less confusing for me. Instead of having to like search through the document, be like, have I gotten all the scenes? I'll just have a different document open and be like, okay, this is how much I've actually done. This is getting complicated, people, but I think it's best for the story. So I have my original draft, which doesn't want to load. Oop, there it is. Return to Sherwood Book 2. And then I have this second draft, which I've been working in. Oh, hello. That's needs editing. Anyway, and then this is just the scenes just POVs and scenes so that I can keep track of myself. But I'm going to open a brand new document. Here goes nothing. And I'm going to transfer the scenes from this one. The first 14 chapters, I think, are good. No, 14 is what I did. Aw, dang it. The first 13 chapters, maybe? I'll transfer over. Is this when they find them? No. This is, yeah. Okay, so chapter 14 is what I have to redo. Oh, this is complicated. Anyway, yep, I'm going to move it all over here into this blank document, and then I'm going to wade through chapter 14 and chapter 15 from this document and figure out how to fix it, and then I'm only going to put it over here once it's fixed. Let's do this. Delete. Ouch. That hurt. Guys, this is really causing so many problems. So making it realistic so that they don't just meet up with their family super easily. And I want it to be realistic. I don't want it to be stupid. Anyway, but making it realistic, it gives me like 2 months of time period where in the original draft they were together, but now they're apart. And Ida's midpoint was finding her family because the bad guys close in, was like she has a family but somehow she's still like not content, not happy. Like that's her B story. Anyway, but if it's 2 months later, that can't be her midpoint because it's gonna be right before the finale. And she can't have a midpoint right before the finale. So I have to figure out what her like internal story arc is again. It's gonna be like the 5th time that I saved the cat Ida's story in the last week. Ida's really just not wanting to behave right now. Anyway, I have to find her a different midpoint. And bad guys close in, and dark night of the soul, and all is lost, and all the things up until the finale. Like, the finale is still going to work the same. They're all going to be there, and it's going to be fine, but I have to get her there somehow without her family, which was the whole driving point of her story arc. You guys, I've written myself into a corner. I mean, it wasn't a corner. I could have left it as it was. It was just too easy, and I didn't want it to be too easy. So in order to make it harder and realistic, I'm causing so many problems. So many problems. Okay, so what's happening now is that Ida had a false victory midpoint in the outline that I did with Save the Cat. You know, recently. Not the first draft, but like what I've been working on. But now I'm gonna have to give her a false defeat. Because she's not going to find her family. But it's okay, that's not what she needs anyway. That sounds awful. I'm a sucker for happy endings. She will have a happy ending. Okay. Go find me some bad guys closing in. Okay. Provides a place for your hero to rebound after a false defeat. Ah! I got it. You guys, I got it. We got there! Okay. This is Ida's story. Don't get confused. This is Ida's story. I can do this. I have so many pages of Ida's outline, it's kind of getting ridiculous. I just keep redoing the last half of her story. But this time I think I got it. Okay, I've caught back up to chapter 15 where I was yesterday. Took a lot of shuffling things around. I had to take a couple of scenes and I was able to use them because it was still furthering people's story arcs, but I had to adjust who was actually in the scene because they weren't with the other people yet, so I had to change like which person was speaking in the scene to whoever was, you know, going through their emotional journey. So that was weird because I had to like fix the dialogue a bit so that it was the other person, because you can't just, I couldn't just fix the tags from like Jane to Faith because they don't speak the same way. And also they wouldn't speak about a particular character death in the same way because they both know this person on different levels. Anyway, so I had to like adjust the dialogue in this scene. And also where it was located because they're not in Paris and lots of things. But I was able to do that for several scenes and make it work. And I made it all the way to where I was yesterday. But I have about 2,000 less words than I did at chapter 15 yesterday. So I feel like I need to add some more stuff. There was one scene in particular that I had to cut because it just doesn't work anymore, that I was really fond of. And now I have to figure out a different way to keep Mark's story arc going, because I took the time to figure out Ida's, but now I have to do Mark's because his story arc also changes if I'm making the journey take longer and be harder and more realistic. Like, his story arc is different as well. So I'd have to go back to the drawing board for Mark. Yay. This is a lot of work, but I think once I get this all figured out, it will be better for the story. I'm sort of flip-flopping right now between what I'm rewriting right now and also the easy version where they just find each other in that story arc. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with, to be honest, but I'm going to write out this one, as much work as it is. I'm going to write out this one and see if I can make it work, and if I can, then that's spectacular. And if I can't, maybe I'll just revert back to the easy one. I don't know. We'll see.